Hi everybody, and welcome to Traveling with Russell, and welcome to beautiful Moscow, a few days before New Year. And I thought today we'd go for a walk around the even more beautiful Sokolniki Park. The entrance is right behind me, and I thought it might be interesting for everybody to have a look at some of the things they've got on display for the new year here in Russia. We're going to go for a walk around Sokolniki Park, which is directly behind me where I'm standing now. However, the metro station where I came out from is about 2 or 3 minutes walk down the alleyway right here. If you are a follower of the channel, I actually did an apartment tour video from very close to the metro station. That was on the channel around about 2 weeks ago, and a lot of people commented about that apartment, and literally from that apartment door to where I'm standing now, I think it's about a 10-minute walk, depending on how energetic you are. And this is the entrance to the park where we're going to go in. They've already got the 2025 numbers up already. I'm fairly sure every person, as they walk in, want to get a photo going through this light tunnel. This is a very beautiful park, whether you come during summertime or winter time, or if you come during the day. I intentionally decided to come in the evening because I know it's just that little bit more beautiful to come for a walk with all of the lights on and illuminated. The only thing we're not going to see a lot of is snow, and the last 7 days here in Moscow has been very unseasonably warm, to the point that most people are upset that there isn't any snow falling, and giving you an even more white holiday time and New Year. Have a look at all the decorations around the main entrance here. Will be interesting to see how many people are out walking through the park, because this is actually early evening. I think a lot of people will have pretty much finished work by now and deciding to do the same thing like I am, coming for a walk through the park. Now there is actually a few things that we can point out, or I can point out to as we walk through. Now the main feature, of course, right now is the Christmas or holiday decorations, and there'll be some ice sculptures that we want to see, and there's actually even an ice skating rink here, which is very much open to the public. So let's slowly head on down there. I think there's quite a few different activities that they've got going on as well this evening, so it might be nice to show them as well. How nice are these arches as we walk on through the main entrance. This park, I was told, actually has some animals here as well, and we are not going to see them today unless they're walking down the main path. And when I made that apartment tour video, Irina, the real estate agent who showed me the apartment, was trying to tell everybody that there's animals here, and a lot of people commented about them. So perhaps somewhere in the woods there's some flying around or walking around. For the month of December and into January, they do actually have different scheduled events in all the parks around Moscow and Moscow region. And it looks like they've got a dance class going on here. And I thought I'd come over and get a little bit close to see what's going on. And these are very popular in all the parks in Russia. They do them a lot in summertime, and then it looks like they're hosting one right here. I think very impromptu as well, so a lot of people like myself who've just turned up didn't really know it was going on. but it's just fun to see people taking part. Wow. And then I think up on the stage there they've got some characters, or at least dance instructors, who are pointing out some kind of dance, and everybody enjoying the evening. How cool is this, really and truly? This is fun. I love coming to Moscow parks for this very reason, because you come just for an everyday casual walk, and then you come across these events that you can get involved in. And how cool is this, really? It's really fun to see how everybody gets really into this, and I think probably like me, they've just turned up for a walk around the park. They've come across this event that they've got going on, and people just love this kind of thing. And the guy is so interactive with everybody and inviting them and want them to join in the dance and the singing at the same time. Sokolniki Park is very well known, particularly in winter, for its ice rinks, and they've got this very large public one which is on the road right here. Now there isn't actually anybody skating right now because the weather has warmed up, that it's just not holding the ice too well, and it's actually starting to melt a little bit. And this whole street, you can actually see the fences on the right hand side, and they've actually put some matting here to cross the ice right now. But when it gets a little bit colder, you'll actually see people skating here. It's completely free, you just bring your own skates and go for it. And you can actually even see just in the ice some of the grooves from the ice skates. They do actually have rental here as well if you don't have your own. But most people will come prepared, bring some skates. They actually have the temperature up on the digital display there, -1 Celsius. So this is actually warm for December. And have a look at this next display. The horse and carriages, they are very bright. I think even on camera as well, they come up that way. And people wanting to get some nice photos in there. Huh? This is so cool. And everybody coming for a nice walk. So you'll see some of the snow here in the middle water fountain. That's of course frozen over. And then the actual pavements are completely clear of snow, because it hasn't actually snowed in about 6 days, I think now. This is a very large park. I'm just going to show a small portion of it, just to give you an idea of how beautiful this place is. There's another tree up ahead of us here. It looks like they've also got the setup. I think this might be the entrance, what would be the ice rink, I think just here. Because what they do, they actually close off or barrier it off because of the amount of people that come to ride it or use it, so that the public don't get run over by all the skaters going by. All these nice decorations. Now, of course, if there was snow on the ground and there was snow falling, it would be even more beautiful. However, I think we can still get a good idea of how it feels in December here in Russia. I really hope you'll enjoy this video. My name is Russell. I'm an Australian who lives here in Moscow, and I make content about everyday life here in Russia. And in December, like we're in right now, in a couple of days till the new year, this is very typical for people to come for a walk in the park and to see the decorations, to see the ice rinks, take some photos and just enjoy the fresh air. Even if it's cold, it's still beautiful to come for a walk in parks like this. And I hope perhaps you'll check out some of the other videos on the channel and enjoy December here in Russia like I am. When I came to film the apartment tour down the road from where I'm standing, I actually had a walk around the park myself, and I was going to include it in the video, but I thought maybe it was going to distract too much from the apartment tour itself, because a lot of people want to see the apartment tours, perhaps not videos of me walking in the park at the same time. When I did come here, they didn't actually have these lights on because it was a little bit earlier in the evening, and it just makes for something a bit more magical. You can see lots of people just having a walk, people with pets, lots of parents with children. And despite the fact it's cold, I mean, -1 is not cold for Russia. It's very tolerable and manageable, and it's easy to walk around in weather like this. Now there is some ice sculptures here. I'm not too sure how many there are on display at this park, so we'll just walk around and discover them. I didn't look up ahead of time what they've got on display at this park versus others. So it'll be interesting just to have a look and see. It looks quite possibly that they're actually just setting these up, because there's still the tools right here, and I'm not too sure where the sculptor is. There's a lot of broken ice blocks, and I think we're going to have to use our imagination about what the sculptures are. It looks like a man with a hat, maybe in a forest. I'm not too sure. If you can make them out, let me know in the comments what it is that you're seeing. There's a possibility that this one is actually the Bolshoi Theater, the actual building behind the front scene. It looks like a young boy or girl right here with a bird and a tree. So if you see something other than the Bolshoi Theater, you need to comment below what the different scenes are. This one actually looks like an observatory for looking into space, and more than likely this is Yuri Gagarin, or maybe another one of the famous Russian cosmonauts. That's really cool. I wonder which building that's meant to depict. In the background there is some letters sketched in there, but they're a little bit hard to read. We can definitely see the cosmonaut right here very clearly. I think this scene might depict a circus, looking at perhaps this circus clown right at the front here, and then it looks like some kind of contortionist doing a back bend. I'm not sure if that's a pig on the ground. It's quite hard to make out the scene. I think, you know, the building in the background. You can definitely see the girl right here, and then this clown, I think maybe actually. I think that's what it is. And then you can actually see all the tools from the master who was doing this. Actually, you can see also the water dripping off these because it's just getting slightly too warm. And then over here, look at this. They're actually doing the sculptures with a chainsaw, and there's a drill and some tools. Quite simple if you know what to do. I'm sure it's really not. This one doesn't have the light set up on it, but there's definitely an elephant. And then I wonder in the background, is that a monkey and a camel maybe? Isn't there a thing about elephants with their trunk up or down? There's a different meaning if it's up or down. Anybody knows about that? The actual ice carver or ice sculptor is actually right here doing some of the carving. And he's got just very basic tools in his hand there. It looks like chisels. Perhaps they're specially for ice carving. It's really neat to see him actually doing this. I'm sure everybody thinks that they're done somewhere else and then just trucked in here. But just based on what we see around us, it looks like he's been doing this today. Probably for most of the day, I think. I just want to give you some fun facts. Now, the gentleman here who's doing the ice carving, I just had a nice chat with him, and he said that it takes between 3 and 4 days to completely finish one work of art or one carving. And I think the way he's looking at it, I think it never gets finished because there's always something that he's tweaking and changing. And this is actually a painter. So now I can see the gentleman with the easel, and he's painting the lady on the left-hand side. That's the actual scene of this. And the other interesting thing is where the ice blocks come from. They come from Chelyabinsk because it's a different ice or different water that these get made from. And a lot of people would have thought that it just comes from Moscow, but the ice is from Chelyabinsk. And the gentleman doing the carving is from Murmansk, up in the north of Russia. So he's brought here specially to do this. And these are his tools that he brought with him. And the way he's talking, he makes it sound so easy, but this is not simple, I don't think. Meanwhile, on the other side, this gentleman's using the chainsaw. And it's a good advertisement for the brand of chainsaws at the same time. I wouldn't want to accidentally twitch and cut a piece off while he's doing it. There's really a skill to this. It has to be. Wow. It's so impressive. Because the main street rink is not open because of the weather and the temperature, everybody's at the enclosed ice skating rink, which they've got set up for December and January. And if you're wondering where all the youth of Moscow are on a Friday night, they're all here hanging out and skating. There's actually people of all ages on the rink. Now, most people bring their own skates, and it's a little bit cheaper. This is actually a paid rink that you've got to pay a fee for a session. It's not very expensive. You can also rent the skates as well. But just if you look at everybody with lots of different styles on their feet, people bring them from home. It's actually a very large rink. There'd have to be a couple of thousand people on the rink at the same time here, just looking around. Now, where you live in the world, how do you spend your Friday night? The young guy has got a Manchester United shirt on. You can see it's lots of younger people. I think most pretty much were skating since they were very young. And there's a few people who look like they're doing it for the first time. Where I was just standing, I was chatting to the gentleman right next to me who had his granddaughters skating, and he lives very close to this park. And he was saying because of the warmer weather, there isn't that many people out tonight. Now, it is quite busy for me looking at how many people are out skating. But he said that because the main rink around the road that we first walked by isn't open, not so many people want to come to this closed rink right here. But it's still really fun, I think, to come skating on a Friday evening so close to New Year. I think I might have to come back in another week or two and make a different video showing these streets when they're open and people are skating, because it's really interesting because it's completely natural, and the fact that it's just iced over roads, and then actually if you did have your skates you'd be able to stop and grab a drink or something to eat. But just because it's just too warm, it's not suitable for skating, and the actual ice itself is starting to melt slowly. Hopefully it'll get colder in the next few days into the new year. I've got lots of different snacks and drinks that you can get there. All throughout the park they've actually got different displays and different things set up and different thematic zones, and it's really interesting to walk around and discover each one. Now the actual park itself is very large to try to cover the whole place. Hopefully just walking around some of the main parts and to see what they've set up. I think it's super interesting. And these are all built just for a couple of months, and then they're all packed up and put away. And it's all designed around getting people out and about and to come to parks and get some fresh air and enjoy the scenery. I'm sorry everything is flashing, but it really is. And this scene with the reindeers, fairly sure that's what they are. It's just really cool. Really and truly it is. Just the amount of work that goes into building these and setting them up. And these are not small displays that they put together. And even the amount of work lighting up all the trees around the park as well. And all for people like myself and other people to come and enjoy the park. Just everywhere you look is lights. As I make my way out, I think the plan is to go to see some more ice sculptures somewhere close by. And they're still dancing here in this part of the park. And there is a couple of different dance teachers. And then people literally just getting into the different music that's playing. I think a few people know each other, of course, but it's just so normal here in Russia to see this coming into the parks, and I just find it so fun. I mean, would this be like it in Australia? I don't know. But this classical music playing and people just having a nice time on a Friday night. My original plan was actually to go to 2 different parks in this one video, and I think I still can, because it's not as long as I think it is that I've recorded so far. So we'll head out of Sokolniki Park and we'll go to one other location, and I think you'll find that interesting as well. So let's head on over there. The ice sculptor who I was talking to earlier actually said there's 10 different parks where they've set up ice displays, and for this video I'm going to show you one other place. And the whole idea is that it's not just one place in Moscow. For the holidays of December and January, throughout Moscow there's about 40 locations where they've set up events, particularly in the parks. They do it quite a lot, and it gives people a chance to go to something more local to where they live and not have to traipse the other side of Moscow to some of the more famous parks. And where you live, there'll be something that's just around the corner. To get to the other park, I'm actually going to take the metro or the underground train, because it's a little bit easier. However, some of the trams in Moscow are also decorated. This one's got some lights on it. And I think, again, I need to do a whole video just showing some of these different themed transport that they've got in Moscow. They've actually got the metro decorated, the trams, the buses. And it's really neat to see. This is a very old historical area of Moscow. We're not that far from the center, and the trams run to and from different regions. Right here, this is one of the modern ones, of course. It's neat to see it with the lights on. So it looks like the other side actually has more decorations. I was wondering, when I was looking at it, it didn't look as lit up. But just looking through the trees here and the garden, I think if you lived in these apartments nearby, it would be so nice to look out the window and see the trams going by with all the lights on. Actually, it's just leaving. There it goes, off on its route. I think it must be starting from here, I think, and goes off to another district. I will actually put a link to the apartment tour video that I did, because from where I'm standing here, you can just see the M and the logo for the metro. And it was literally 2 streets from where I'm standing to that apartment. And a lot of people commented about it and about the apartment's location. And I probably didn't really emphasize how close it was to the metro and how close it is to a very beautiful park. And we are still only 5 kilometers from the absolute center of Moscow as well. I've made it to the second place where I'm gonna have a look at some ice sculptures. Now, I'm actually at the entrance to GIP Park. However, the place we want to go and see is across the road. It's called Museon Park. Actually, a lot of people like to call it Fallen Statue Park, because there's quite a lot of statues there for obvious reasons. And then here on the left, it's the very grand entrance of GIP Park, and we just need to go under the underpass to the other park. They've got a very large display of trees here. There'd have to be at least 100 of them right here at the entrance. It's quite a lot. Seems to be the theme as I've been around Moscow in the last week, is putting trees everywhere and lights and decorations. And then this incredibly big one right at the main entrance to the park itself, with this very big light structure over it. It's a little bit hard to give you an idea of how big it is. And as I pointed out in other videos, a lot of the trees around Moscow have branding on them. And this is VK Video, which is quite similar to what most people around the world would know as Facebook. But this is the Russian version of it, which is hugely popular in Russia. I even have my own page on there as well. I've got the very big 2025 sign as well. And most people come to GIP Park in December and January for ice skating, and there's a very big rink set up here. The only thing is, if you're not skating, it's very closed off. There's a lot of fences around it. You can actually buy session tickets to go skating. It's not that expensive, actually. A lot of people like to come in the evenings, like now. It's a little bit hard to get film footage from there, especially if you're just walking around like I do, because of the way that they've set it up. This entrance to GIP Park is very palatial and very grand, as it should be for such an amazing park. Actually, coming from Sokolniki Park here to GIP Park, it's the same red line metro, which is really handy. It's only a few stations, takes around about 20 minutes from place to place. So it's really easy to get around in Moscow taking the underground metro, rather than, even if you had a car, it would be far harder to get here than I've just literally walked from the station to the entrance to the park. If you might have watched some of my videos from back in summertime, I was actually here in Museon Park. They had a very large event held here for summertime, and it's really amazing how the place changes so quickly. They go from one event to the other, and it was a really busy day, the day that I came here, being that it was the height of summer, and they had different displays set up. This is a very beautiful part of Moscow as well. Some apartments off in the background there. I would only dream being able to live in one of those upper floor apartments. This is what we've come to see, this ice sculpture or block, where they've got a slide for the kids, I think some adults as well, and it's made out of ice, and then of course some structure as well. This is completely free to do. It's just a matter of turning up climbing the steps, coming for a slide down. They do have some loud music playing. Whoa. Okay. Maybe stay out the way. This is very cool what they built here. Let's see these next few kids going down. Not quite a race. Are they going to come out the other end? Not quite. They're literally just on a plastic biscuit. That's the right word to call it. Oh, let me get out of the way again. The kids just run around and then jump on it. It looks like there's the dad going down there as well. Huh? Cool. There's not that many people here. Maybe they didn't know if it was open or not because of the weather being so warm. Obviously ice sculptures need cold weather, not warm weather. The biscuit that you ride down on is literally just a piece of plastic stitched together. That's all you really need. Just sit on that and then go flying down the slide. We've actually got a smaller one here for younger kids as well. I was thinking there'd be more people here. Maybe because it's not quite New Year's yet. A lot of people are staying home. There's the little kids going down, having fun. It's not quite as steep as the other ones, they're not going quite as fast. Let's see. Dad going down it now. There he goes. Ah. Krasiva. Fantastic. I think the kids and the parents can have just as good a time. Even just looking at this palace that they built, the amount of work that goes into this, you have to take weeks to build it and put it together and then bring all the ice in. And then all of the panels are carved ice as well. And this is all provided by the local administration, and anybody from all over Russia could come here. Of course, I think a lot of people are with locals, just like me. When I did come here back in summertime, there was thousands of people. Perhaps go back and have a look at the video. I think I titled it "The Park That Most People Don't Know About in Moscow." And it's very well known for all of the statues and sculptures that are in this park. There is perhaps a few thousand of them across the whole park. You can walk down lots of different laneways and paths. And of course, on a winter's evening like this, there's not too many people around. There is a very large art gallery here as well, and it overlooks the Moscow River. And this is across the road from GIP Park, and it's very much the park that nobody knows about. I think a few people, of course, know about it. Based on how many people were here in summertime, it was crowded, and it's almost uncomfortable to walk in the park. And you come on a colder evening like this, and there's just a few people around. Very bright skies. You can just take a walk on all these different paths and enjoy an evening in Moscow. One of the reasons this place got its name as the Fallen Monument Park is for all the different monuments of some of the leaders of USSR and the Soviet Union. And they placed them here all around the park, and there's these walkways and trails that you can follow, and these were all brought from somewhere else and then placed here in this park. Perhaps in the evening it maybe doesn't do it justice how beautiful it is to walk here. And then you've got the backdrop of some rather nice apartment buildings. We are literally a 15-minute walk back towards the Kremlin, maybe 20 minutes depending on how fast you want to walk. And then all of the leaders of Russia and the past. Right here on the left-hand, right-hand side, there's quite a lot of statues. I'm just walking down one walkway. There's also some big structures that they took off roofs of buildings as well and placed them here. And if you're wondering how safe it is to walk in Russia at night, there is not a worry in the world about me walking in a park, in an empty park. There is people around. It's not completely empty here. And I have absolutely no worries about my safety walking in a place like this in the evening time here in Russia. I think slowly I'm going to head back to the metro and the video will come to a close very soon. You can see on the left here the Moscow River. It's a very nice walk that you can do from GIP Park all the way down to the Kremlin. This statue in front of us here is of Peter the Great on his very small boat, and he is very large. And then we can see the Church of Christ Our Saviour off in the distance. It's quite a lot bigger than it looks on camera. And then all of the buildings along the embankment of the river. And they've set these light structures up all the way along the riverfront as well to walk. This really is the secret park of Moscow, and you can enjoy a very nice walk here, and it doesn't feel as busy as it would over in GIP Park or somewhere closer to Moscow like the Red Square. This is the other popular thing to do on the Moscow River, and you can do this year round. You can go on one of these river boats. This is one of the Radisson boats, and there's actually a dinner that you can have in the evening. They also have music and dancing, and you can spend a few hours sailing up and down the Moscow River. I've done this a few times with my wife. It's very nice to do this. They're completely heated inside, and it's a very beautiful way to spend a few hours. You can see the river going off in the distance. It isn't frozen over because it's just not cold enough. I think everybody's heard of snow globes, and they got one set up here with a beach scene and palm trees, and there's even a chair and cooler inside. And I wonder when they open this, because it looks like it's a heated dome that you can go into and then sit there for a photograph overlooking the Moscow River. It's right here by the museum and gallery, and then right by the river. That's so interesting. Now there's not a person around, so it's a bit of a shame we can't go in there and sit in the sand. As I come to the end of the video, I really hope you've enjoyed this walk around of Sokolniki Park, and then seeing a little bit of Muen Park. And I hope it was a little bit interesting to see some of the ice skating and ice sculptures and different things that they've got set up. Now, I've only shown you 2 parks. However, there's about 30 parks, I think, in all of Moscow that have got different things set up for the holidays of December and January. So I will make my way back to some other places and do more videos, hopefully with more snow and more of a festive feeling in the air. It's actually quite warm, being that it's right about 0 Celsius now. You can see off in the background the lights of GIP Park, and my metro station is only about 5 minutes walk from here to head on home. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, post a comment, let me know what your city does for the holidays of December and January, and how much they do and how much they decorate all the parks and roads and rivers and different things. I think here in Moscow it's rather unique, and you can go to other cities of Russia and they do the same thing, not quite on the scale of Moscow, but you could definitely go a few thousand kilometers from here and see displays like we've seen today, just on a smaller scale. If you'd like to follow me on Telegram, I post photos every day there. I chat in the group. You're more than welcome to join me. And then if you want to see an old video on the channel, something perhaps completely different to what you're watching now, click this link and you can keep traveling with Russell. Okay everybody, I'm off on another adventure. Bye.